that's it.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody to the Nick and Adam Show, a show by nerds for nerds. And I'm nerd number one, Nick.
And I am nerd number 2, Adam.
In today's show, we are talking about trailers. We got some news today. Ruby Rose and the saga of the Batman show that won't go away. The Eternals reviews keep coming in, and they're not great. And we have another actor attacking fans again. Boondock Saints 3 Legion was just announced, but we're leading off with the Iron Fist, Adam.
That's right. So we're getting a new Iron Fist, whether we wanted one or not. I'm not sure we wanted the first Iron Fist when he came out, like in the 60s or the 70s. Those of you who don't know, the Iron Fist is a Marvel superhero, and I believe he's done some time as an Avenger. He had a Netflix show. He gets the powers of the Iron Fist by mastering some martial arts and things like that in China or Japan. As you can see, I'm not an expert on the Iron Fist, but this is just the cliff notes. And the guy's name is Danny Rand, and they're coming out with a new Iron Fist this February. It is a mini series. Danny Rand is retiring as the Antichrist, as I almost just said, as the Iron Fist. And he's going to be an actual Asian this time.
Well, let's talk about a little bit why, because it's one of those things that's become problematic. That term that's become so used lately, where it's a white guy doing martial arts,
right?
But you have to look at when the character came out, when there was a martial arts boom in this, 60s and 70s with the help of Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, all those guys bringing martial arts into the mainstream. So Marvel's just made a guy. They didn't think of the representation like they think of back in the 60s. So I think this is kind of one of those things that just leads into it's a modern, well, he's problematic now.
Well, and to be fair, they're using terms like the Whitey tropes and the mighty Whitey trope and things like that. Well, here's the thing: is when this character was created, I don't know, but I'm not sure that they were selling many Marvel comics overseas or that far into Asia. Maybe they were. I don't know. But if we're talking about inclusion, okay, is it not okay for somebody of opaque color, a white person to have mastered the martial arts? Now we got a quote here from a sociologist who her name is Nancy Wang Yung, and this is what she had to say. She says, "I think the source material is Orientalists." She's told this to as during an interview with Inverse. Anything that's set in Asia or with Asian culture is treated as an object rather than a subject. Martial arts and yoga, it's a consumption item rather than an actual culture to be respected. The comics follow the mighty Whitey trope of old, in which a blonde-haired, blue-eyed hero heads to an Asian city and masters their skills, becoming better than everybody else. Fans who understood the historic problems facing Iron Fist initially campaigned for Marvel's Netflix series to reinvent Danny Rand as an Asian American.
See, that's one of those things where I think that article could have easily been written in the 60s or 70s. But today, martial arts it's universal.
It is.
You have things like the UFC. There's a reason the UFC existed, because everybody wanted to say whose martial art is better. And guess what? The UFC, they're not all Asian.
No, they're not. They're actually a melting pot. It's a
100%.
100% a melting pot. Here's the thing: how seriously do we need to take these comic book characters? I mean, I take them pretty seriously because they mean something to me. Because as a nerd, especially a nerd growing up in like the 80s as a child and the 90s as a teen, when you're looking for some kind of way to escape like the reality of like what the hell is my home life or my school life,
whatever you're trying to escape,
in a healthy way, and you find these comic book characters, you're not looking at what they look like or who they are or anything like that. You're looking for the story. You're looking for the escapism, and it's like we're losing the story by worrying about the gender, the race, and all this kind of stuff. And again, I say this about other characters. At least they're not making Danny Rand an Asian guy. They're coming up with an Asian character, right? But man, okay, so let me just break off here on the Black Superman, Val Zod. I stand behind that character, but it's Superman, okay? It's Superman. This is Iron Fist. Come up with something better. Like, who cares? I'm sorry. For all you Iron Fist fans out there, I'm sorry. Nobody cares about the Iron Fist.
Well, there's a reason. I mean, they had Shang-Chi back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
But it didn't sell that well, did it?
I mean, it didn't translate into the cartoons later on. I never heard of the guy.
And ultimately, when it comes down to, especially in comic books, you have to go with what sells.
Right.
So, but getting back to the representation, I think representation is important to a degree. Seeing someone who is like you on either your comic book and movie screen or on sports, whatever sports you're watching. When I was a little kid playing football, you know what? Anytime someone touched a football, you know what that kid said? No matter what color they were, I'm Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
I'm Randy Moss.
Yeah.
And I'm not degrading or not saying representation isn't important, but to say it's the most important, I think it's doing a disservice to the story of a lot of characters that are written, and it's just one of those things where I think it gets not quite taken out of context, but I think it gets put way too high on the importance list.
I agree, because what we wanted to see when we didn't have comic book movies or comic book TV shows is we wanted to see the stories we love come to life. That's what we wanted to see. And we'll get into a little bit of what's going on with that, with like Cowboy Bebop and all that kind of stuff when we talk about it later. You made a statement earlier about how anime fans are starting to understand what comic book fans kind of go through.
Absolutely. But like I said, as you said, we're going to get into that, but we're going to move on to our next story. And
real quick before we do, February,
absolutely.
if you're interested in spending hard-earned money on the Iron Fist, it'll be a 4 or 5 issue miniseries written by Alyssa Wong, I want to say, and I better not trash her name here. Let me get this right. But it's February of 2022. And it is Alyssa Wong and artist Michael Yeage. That's Michael, last name spelled YG. This is what they had to say. It's an incredible honor to introduce a new Iron Fist to the Marvel Universe, long observed in the present statement. So, there you have it. This February, you get a new Iron Fist, and hopefully you don't get fisted.
Moving on, the dumpster fire that refuses to go away, the Ruby Rose saga.
Woo! Yeah.
Like I said, the dumpster fire that is the Batman show and Ruby Rose right now in her career.
Batwoman.
I apologize, Batwoman. It's one of those things where she just recently she released some very interesting messages between her and the producer, basically explaining reasons that she wanted to leave or her issues where, people want to pick sides in every argument or anything like that. It's hard to pick a side on this one because the studio is not looking good, even though they're doing their best to
contain the fire
and put out fires, but also everybody knows what happened. There have been numerous injuries on that show. You forced your original star here to go back to work 2 days after having neck surgery, and she has pictures right here of her scar, and then says, let's see here. They wanted me to shoot 2 covers this week, but there was just no chance in hell I could get into that suit and not absolutely crash. So hopefully it will all work out. Gonna have a 6 star LOL. And it's just one of those things where there's no clear, not, not even saying a clear winner, but it's almost who's worse at this point.
See, I want to know. This is what I'm most interested in. Why now? Because when she initially left the show, and it was announced that Ruby Rose would not return for a second season, but the show will go on, and they're gonna figure out what they're gonna do, yada yada yada. Um, what was it? Was it? It had to be something in her contract. It had to be something there that said she had to spend some kind of amount of time before she told anything, because both of them, both sides went to great lengths to say, "Oh, it's been an amicable split, all this kind of stuff." And if you look at any of these shows, any of these shows, the star of the show, I hope I'm sorry about that. Uh, uh, waving my hand. The stars of these shows, they're in every scene. Okay, Stephen Amell's in every scene of Arrow. Tom Welling, every scene of Smallville. The fellas over there, Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki, in every scene of Supernatural. So you guys, you're picking up what I'm throwing down. Sarah Michelle Gellar, you know, when Buffy the Vampire Slayer was over, basically, like, she didn't have anything negative to say. She didn't have anything positive to say either. She just said, I'm done, and I know I'm done. These guys work 14-hour days. They work the IATSE strike. Okay, that was coming up,
and she gets into it right here. Actors and crew pulling 16-hour days, 14-hour camera days without people losing their temper and getting aggressive. This gets into a little bit of the temperature on set, where
right?
She asked, "Is there any way we can put a clause where there's no yelling on set? Where there's difference between, hey, yelling to communicate, but if you have people yelling because someone made an arbitrary mistake, I mean, that doesn't make it good work. Any place where I would want to work, people start yelling at your work. I don't care if it's a film set or wherever you work your 9 to 5. If you're working at fast food, no one wants to be yelled at.
And in that situation, I'm sorry to say it, people, but you really have no reason to yell. You're getting paid to make believe for a living. You're one of the luckiest people. You're breathing rarefied air. From 6 in the morning to 5 o'clock at night, I am not doing that with in my day. Nick, you're not doing that in your day, and most of you folks at home aren't doing that in your day. So if you have people who can actually do that kind of stuff, get paid for that kind of stuff, it should be a pleasant environment. It really should. But at the end of the day, somebody's driving the money van. And then you got producers who are.
Speaking of which, one of the biggest bombs that most people are waiting to come out is Rose has made accusations, basically, of the producers of the show pandering to the LGBTQ plus community, and she has emails saying so, and she hasn't dropped those yet, but she's holding those back. So if those actually come out, it's going to make a whole lot of people second guess a lot of the things being done on some of these sets.
Well, okay, and this is just the CW alone. If you're a person in the LGBTQ community and you like this show, that's awesome. That great. The thing about these CW shows, in particular this Arrowverse, is when they pick something to pander to, they pluck out the story, they pluck out the heart of the character. They did it in Supergirl season 3. Okay, so when equality movements were going on, the YouTube movement, Black Lives Matter movement, they were doing Alien Lives Matter because Earth was a place where aliens came to immigrate. What does that have to do with, like, fighting Metallo?
Well, and one of the things that we haven't really gotten into it, and we'll get into it probably later on, but the new Superman is part of the LGBTQ plus community.
He's Superboy. He's John Kent.
But here's the thing: when it was announced on Twitter, if you went into the comment section, you had a lot of people who were saying, "Hey, I'm gay, and I don't care. You know what I want? I don't care about gay representation. I want good stories. I want good comic books."
So the theme here is that we're not getting those.
Well,
We
and
might be
it
getting the
was like,
comics, but
but it's like what you were talking about with Shang-Chi, where there are certain things that get elevated to importance level. And today's climate, it is more important, you know, what your skin color is, who you sleep with, and what you have between your legs, versus if you're a decent person, or how, when it comes to fictional characters, because that's what we're talking about, the story. Because that's what people want, is just a damn good story, because that's everybody's sick of the world that we live in. And like you said, when we escape, we want some place to escape to. I don't want to escape to the world that I live in.
no, I agree.
So next up is
Well said, my friend.
Yeah, that's it. So moving on. So the reviews for the Eternals keep coming in, and at this point, Adam, it's rotten. We are at 56% on the tomato meter.
Couldn't they have made some ketchup before those tomatoes went bad?
I don't know, but not even as a dad joke, and not even a dad.
Yeah, I've been accused of that before. You know what I said too? I looked at the young lady. She was in my class. I said, "What's a dad joke?" And she's like, "What?" First time I'd ever heard of it.
But and typically, Adam, you and I don't pay much attention to movie critics and their reviews, because I like to make my own decisions. But it's hard not to see something coming from this, because typically, even when Marvel hasn't been putting out top quality content, they've always had the movie critics kind of in their pocket, so to speak. Not exactly, but
Well, if you make a really good movie, right, and everybody likes it, then you make that movie again, but with different people and characters, and then you keep doing that. Everybody's like, "Wow!" They think they just saw a different movie. Yeah, Iron Man, Marvel Cinematic Universe. Then yeah, but then you make something different, and they're like, "Hey, this is Peter Pan peanut butter. This isn't Jif." And if you've ever had Peter Pan peanut butter, you know it's greasy and it's chalky. It's not very delicious. Neither's Skippy.
it's difficult to be greasy and chalky at the same time.
Well, it just doesn't taste like peanut butter. It almost tastes like nothing.
It's not
And
Jif.
Nothing's Jif. But my point is, wait a minute. I'm internalizing it like this. I'm not going to say that the Eternals is Jif, nor am I going to say it's Peter Pan. I'm saying this. I can't listen to this stuff right now. We can talk about it, but I can't listen to what they're going to say, because I'm going to go see this movie this weekend for this show, and because I want to support comic books, right?
Sure. But let's talk about one of the reasons you go to see a comic book movie. You want to see the heroes.
Well, my dreams have come true, that they're finally happening.
Sure. But who's the villain in this? What big baddie is in this movie that you really want to go see?
Well, now I don't know. Thanks a lot. I have no idea who it is.
There's none that I heard, because that's part of the problem. No one cared about the Eternals to begin with. No one knows who their big baddie is. No one knows who their arch villain is. This has turned into basically an opportunity to pander. You took 10 characters and you did your best to make them as diverse as possible. When they did the movie premiere, I'll give you a guess what was mentioned 16 times, and only one thing was mentioned one time. So
Just tell me.
how many times do you think Jack Kirby was mentioned at the premiere?
Oh, that's a now you're going for my heart here. If you're saying once, just once, that's the only time.
One time. And it was not in a good way. What was mentioned 16 times? Diversity and inclusion. And that was, I'll give credit to Gary over at Neurotic. He actually sat down and watched the video of the premiere, and all you heard time after time was, "It's so inclusive. It's such a diverse cast." Someone actually said this movie is going to save lives because of the diversity of the cast. How ridiculous! Not to blow smoke up your butt or make you feel. You're still a comic book movie, for the love of God.
You know, it upsets me that we don't hear enough about Jack Kirby to begin with.
He's like one of the godfathers.
If not, he is.
If there's a Mount Rushmore of comic books of golden age,
Well, Jack Kirby changed the way comic books were drawn. Literally. He's responsible for the splash page.
Yes.
And he grinded it out. He wasn't even rich. At the end of his life, he just worked his ass off in the basement on a drawing table that I mean he grew up in the slums in a tenement. And he supported all his kids working for Marvel Comics, and then he later went to the DC where he created the New Gods, Darkseid, Orion, all of them. I mean, to not bring him up or to only bring him up once is it's ridiculous, especially when we're living in a world where inclusion automatically happens. Maybe not to the extent people want it to, but you can't make everybody happy, and that's the problem. They're trying to make everybody happy.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I said, we've taken 10 characters. Let's see, like I said, they're all different races, no problem. They're all different sexual orientations. It's like they literally went down the check. They're like, okay, so we got one of these. So we've got a gay character, we've got an Asian, we've got a black character, we've got, all these. It's like they just tried to use this movie to check as many boxes as possible. And then
they needed an overweight character. We're the only group you can join.
They do have the one that he has a dad bod, and that's one of the guys who's like, oh, I want to see more people like me. I was like, not once as a grown fat man have I said I want to see someone who looks like me. I was like, no, thank you, I'm good. Because even with how many times if you just crack the jar for your mom or whatever, and you sit there and you flex a little bit, right?
Right.
That little not no, that's not what you do. And then you got jackasses, and when you don't want, and when they focus on the cast too much, and they don't put enough into the story, where the comic book fans actually show up to see what type of story you've created, they realize, oh, that's not very good, and then they get called a bunch of names. You get my buddy here, Kumail Nanjiani, put out a tweet that he later deleted, basically saying, oh, it looks like we're upsetting the right people. You mean your fans?
Right.
You mean the people who are supposed to buy tickets who further your career?
Well, no, I get it.
And it's been a rash of these pompous Hollywood people. Like Camille's character, I don't even know he's Kingo. I don't know what that means. You know what Kumail Nanjiani's character looks like? His superpower is being a super douche. That's what it looks like.
Oh, I was like, really?
But that's what it looks like. If I had to guess just by looking at pictures, I'd say super douche was his superpower. But anyway, so now you have comic book characters who actually show up for a story, and they realize, oh, they didn't care about that. So you start knocking, reviewing the movies, be like, oh, you clearly didn't care about Jack Kirby's legacy and his characters.
You hit me where it counts right before I try to make a point.
No, we're going to see this movie.
No, I know that. I know. But
for the show.
Well,
for you guys.
Let's look at it like this, though. Let's the worst thing that the Eternals could do is I don't know, dump oil into the Gulf. Okay, so let's dial it back from there. So let's say you get above the noise of all of this, get above the Twitter, the social medias, the pandering, the inclusion is not enough or it is too much or whatever. Say you get into that theater and it's good. and you like the movie. I mean, because for the most part, I don't really ever really agree with critics. I damn sure don't agree with Rotten Tomatoes. Sometimes I agree with Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I'm not entirely when Rotten Tomatoes became the authority as to what constitutes a good movie or not, but I've never.
Anyway, so
sorry.
I mean, but that's all you can hope for is that you go to the movies and you hope that it's good. Now, the only thing right now that stands out, and this is not, okay, first of all, full disclosure, The Eternals is not one of my number one movies I want to see this summer or this year. It hasn't been like, oh, I can't wait. Ghostbusters Afterlife? I'm foaming at the mouth to see Ghostbusters Afterlife. And that might suck, to be honest with you. That movie might suck. But if I go to see The Eternals and it's not the formula that we've seen throughout the entire MCU, I'm not saying the MCU sucks. I'm just saying it's formulated and it isn't that great. Okay, I mean, it's fantastic for being 20 movies in 10 years, but other people have done, 20 movies, James Bond. So you get there, you see something that's not formulated, it's different, and it's good. Well, and I might be able to put the noise aside for that and say, okay. I'm not saying I'd buy it on Blu-ray.
No, and that's the thing. If we were just hearing, hey, it's a different type of Marvel movie, a different type of superhero movie, that would be different.
Well,
but and also if you hadn't pissed off so many comic book fans by just between Black Widow and Shang-Chi basically saying, hey, we don't like these movies, and then, oh, well, you don't like it because it's because they're Asian, or it's because it's a female character. Like, no, the comic book fans have been supporting these characters for decades before you guys got here.
Comic book fans, old school comic book fans especially, and probably the new school guys, we love you. But we're all about this inclusion stuff because we were not included. That's why we were comic book lovers.
Well, and that's part of the thing is if all these people who go to see the Marvel movies went out and started buying comic books, that'd be one thing, but they're not.
You know who does? Who's doing a documentary on something about Marvel? I don't mean to change the subject.
That's fine.
But Gillian Jacobs, have you ever heard of her?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, she's in that Netflix show Love. She was in Fear Street. She played the older version of the girl who survived from the 70s version.
Oh, okay.
Real pretty. But she's doing her homework on. She's doing a documentary about women and their impact on Marvel comics from like the birth of Marvel forward, and really smart. She went to a Joe Quesada. She went to a comic shop with him, and I watched it on YouTube. It was really cool. I mean, and it was cool to see somebody that damn intelligent have that kind of take on this. I can't wait to see whatever the project turns out to be that she's making. But I think this is an opportunity for us on the show right now to take something like this. Like, for example, we're gonna talk. We talked about Batwoman twice now. We know we hate that show. You saw it. I saw it. I watched the whole first season. I'm never getting that time back in my life.
And if you're interested in the show, there's a YouTuber named as Heel versus Babyface. He reviews every single episode
of Batwoman.
Batwoman.
Poorly, or does he think highly of it?
No, it's terrible. He knows it's terrible, but it's just he does it for the fans.
Well, I couldn't take my eyes off the show. It was so bad. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I mean, I'm like, this is horrible. Anyways, make a long story short. So this weekend is the Eternals. I'm going to be there. Okay. I assume you're going to be there
for the show.
Okay, great. For the show.
And it's one of those things where it's not a comic book movie, but I can very much appreciate a slow-paced, different style of movie. One of my favorite movies that I've seen recently was, and I don't know if you've seen it, it's the Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Bill Ford.
I haven't seen that movie since 2008. That movie is awesome.
It's a very slow, very deliberately paced movie, but it's fantastic.
How terrified were you of Jesse James?
and just it's funny because I'm like, it's Brad Pitt. I was like, damn, he did it so well. And that movie, it just reminds me. I was like, because you can really take a very slow pace movie as long as you're patient. There's a payoff,
Oh man.
and that movie is probably in probably since Wyatt Earp, just the slowest paced movie, but there's a reason for it, and but it's just a fantastic movie. And so, as a movie fan, I can appreciate a difference. I don't need the big explosions. I'm not a kid. I don't need all I don't need
Yeah.
the
Spectacle.
J.J. Abrams lens flares all the time. So
Speaking of payoffs, then you got to check out Midnight Mass.
yeah, I know. Well, Trudy Sparkles watched it and she loved it. So I'll probably have to sit down one week and blast through it. But
It's everything you're describing right now.
so, but at one point I want to make, you know what the Eternals, just the trailer reminds me of comic book wise? It reminds me of those comics in between big storylines where they're kind of slow. They don't go anywhere. That's what this movie reminds me of. But you know what I'm saying?
Exactly what you're saying, because like the worst one I can think of was a few years back when they did Thor, God Killer, Gore the God Killer, and God Bomb. It was like this giant epic, and then it was over. And like the next comic that came out, he like fought an elf, and it was a
It's
bullshit. And I'm
just
like,
filler.
yeah, this is.
This is
Do
not.
I keep having this pulled?
You're like, can you just pull the good ones? But
Right.
that's what this reminds. It feels like a filler movie, but they're trying to tell you that it's not. They're trying to say it's this big epic sweeping. I was like, dude, that looks like the story in between
It
the
looks
Thanos
like
storyline and then what you're trying to, whether you're going to give us actually Galactus. That's what I want.
looks like
next.
you forgot that you have the Fantastic Four. Looks like you're not trying to
right.
make the Fantastic
Yeah.
Four.
So, but like I said, I said what I said. I think it's one of those movies where I think they tried to check as many boxes as they could, and it ultimately they tried to throw a Marvel label on it, check as many boxes as they could, and then try and tell the movie fan that, oh, it's your fault you don't like it. We didn't put out a bad movie. We didn't put out a bad movie. You just don't understand it.
Word.
All right, so moving on.
I'll buy that though.
But anyway, Eternals, we're gonna have a review because we are gonna check it out. So
We're good. Hey, I'm gonna go on record here. I'm polling for this movie.
that's the thing. I don't want to go spend my money on a crappy movie. I want it to be good.
I don't mind spending my money on a crappy movie for the theatrical experience. I'll just walk out and buy another movie ticket. But here's my point. It's supposed to be different from the formula. That's the only thing I can say about it.
And doing what we do, just I've worked on my resume here. I've worked on one movie. I've done a lot of video editing, a lot of shooting.
Sure.
For me to say a movie is just terrible, man, it's got to be bad because I can see, like you said, I can see. Oh, they were trying to do this here. They were trying to do that there. They just didn't quite hit the mark here. So for me to come out and say a movie is bad or just terrible, it's got to be pretty terrible. And I'm an optimist at heart, because I'll pull silver linings all day long.
Right.
So if I come out and tell you it's terrible, pretty terrible.
Let's just see what happens with this movie. I'm pulling for it, but I'm telling you right now, my hopes aren't high. They're not high.
Movie that I am hoping is better than the last one. Just got a note announces Boondock Saints 3.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that. I still didn't see Boondock Saints 2.
So this one, 10 years after the Boondock Saints released a sequel to the cult classic hit theaters, despite that sequel not being received nearly as well as the original, because it was very good. Director Troy Duffy decides to press on and make a third film. He's got dedicated fans pretty excited about the possibilities. So today, during the Q&A, Duffy revealed not only the new film's title, but some details about the plot to Boondock Saints 3 Legion. Basic Legion is going to involve the legions of followers who have copied the lead of the saints. Clever, eh? Also, the film picks up the boys behind bars just like they were when the second film ended. The movie will look into their past, going all the way back to the very first crime they committed. What do you think?
No. No. You know why? This reminds me of Patton Oswalt's bit about the Star Wars prequel trilogy. This was it. Like, all right, here we go. We're gonna come up with a with a prequel for Star Wars. Oh yeah, awesome. Yeah, and this is what it's gonna be. It's gonna be about Darth Vader. He's gonna be young. He's gonna be really. Is he gonna be wielding like a lightsaber? No. He's gonna be a little kid. What?
Oh,
Yeah, and then he's got to leave his mom, and he gets really sad. But don't worry. In the second one, we're gonna get Boba Fett. Boba Fett, awesome, cool. Is he gonna be like a badass bounty hunter? No, he's gonna be a little kid. But then his dad dies, and he gets really sad. So no, I'm passing.
and if you did see the second one, I saw the second one. That was almost like, and I'll quote my brother here, a caricature of the first one, where it was almost cartoony.
I heard that.
In a bad way. So, but I'll let Troy Duffy try and redeem himself on this one, but I don't have high hopes for this one. But it does have a returning cast, Sean Patrick Flannery and Norman Reedus, though.
Yeah, he's not. Norman Reedus isn't going to be that busy of a guy in a little while, so
Right.
you know, he's been fighting zombies for so long, which should be decomposed to the point of walking by now. But
That's not the point. That doesn't advance the story.
no, it doesn't. I guess there's always more zombies to go around, but isn't the population? Anyways, what about winter?
It's Georgia.
Yeah, but there's a whole other planet out there.
I honestly, I gave up after they killed Glenn. So
Okay, I left after the prison, but that's just because I had to give up cable.
oh yeah, still zombies.
Yeah, now, I like zombies though.
I like zombies, but it's just one of those, like, maybe it's the too much maybe Disney or American in me, where I was like, is this gonna have a happy ending, or are we just gonna keep going down this trail of just zombies and life is terrible? Because I'm good.
Did you ever see the interview with Robert Kirkman, the creator? He was talking about it, and he says, so he was pitching it, right? And the guy who was in charge of Image at the time was like, nah, I don't think so. People are into like aliens and stuff. He goes, it is about aliens. And he's like, really? He's like, yeah, this is all set up. I've got Easter eggs for a big alien invasion that's causing all of this. This is okay, great. So they greenlight The Walking Dead. And it is a smash hit. And they're like on, I don't know, whatever issues are on, they're like, hey, what's going on with the aliens? He's like, yeah, I lied. There's no aliens in any of this. And then they cut to the guy who was about to pass on it unless there was going to be aliens. He goes, I would have greenlit it if he would have told me it was about a father and son making their way through an apocalypse. And he goes, he didn't have to lie. So yeah, that's a little history there on The Walking Dead.
All right, I think that's enough news. Adam, let's get on with the good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's go to trailers.
Trailers for rent. 50
All right, so
cents.
we're gonna start off with the show that I'm very excited about. I have high. Okay, I'm going against my better judgment because I normally come in low on things. But Cowboy Bebop, I'm very excited about.
I'm excited about it, and I've never seen it before. I think I saw one episode before. Now that I saw the intro you showed me.
So, I'm very excited about just the overall look of the show. I'm very excited for the overall look of the show. I think they nailed it the few times where I think they actually did pretty good about bringing the anime to the big screen. Here,
It looks, yeah.
So I think it's one of the few times they actually nailed the look. Now, is this going to be something that they can continue to do for an entire season, I think that's going to be the challenge. But just as far as just overall feel, because I made you watch just the intro to, because I think Cowboy Bebop, one, it's got the best intro of any show. I don't care what
cool.
you say, but it sets the tone of just what they're like. It's just like, man, this is a cool, like, it just seems cool. It's got that jazz beat to it. And I think they really captured a lot of that, at least in the trailer. I really, really hope that this is what the whole show is going to look like.
I hope so too. I think that they did a damn good job of mimicking the anime style. And I don't know a damn thing about it except for what I saw and what you were telling me, that it takes place on all these different worlds, and I'm like all in on that.
Well, it's about a group of bounty hunters, so they're going wherever the bounties are.
Okay.
So and one of the things in the show that is one of my favorites is they have, it's almost like a QVC show, but it's about all the different bounties that are just came up, and I hope they work that into the show somehow. But also, so they just go where the work is.
Yeah.
And they go to, the deepest, darkest corners of the universe to try and track down some of these bad guys. So
a QVC show of bounty hunters? That sounds sweet.
It's, like I said, the show's cool, man. I love it. I dig it. And I really, really hope that they can make it work. So
yeah, I do too. Best of luck, Cowboy Bebop. When does that drop?
That drops November 19th. So coming up soon.
Okay, great. There's a trailer we didn't discuss before the show that we also didn't discuss last week. It's kind of a divisive topic between the two of us.
Okay.
Masters of the Universe Revelations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Masters of the Universe Revelations Part 2 dropped. And that's November 22nd or 23rd, Netflix. I can't wait.
I'm tempered with my excitement because I did see trailers are meant to do one thing. They're meant to get you excited. So I saw it. I was like, ooh, cool. And I kind of went, oh, I did the same thing with season 1.
Well, it is season 1. That's the second half of season 1.
Right. Sorry. The where we want part 1 of season 1. Yeah. But I thought it was okay. I just said, hey, it was kind of like, okay, first of all, animation's beautiful. It's just a beautiful looking show. The only thing I didn't care for really was it's a He-Man show without that much He-Man.
Well, it's not called He-Man. I mean,
right.
It's a spiritual sequel, and forget all that. I hear what you're saying. I loved it because it looked like, to me, when they referred to it as a spiritual sequel to the cartoon, it was as if it was Earth 2, DC Comics, like Earth 2 versus an Earth Prime. Like all these events happened, but in a different way with these characters. So I could kind of take my imagination there. But I was enamored by how more epic it felt. I really enjoyed that. I liked Tila's journey. I liked the message of forgiveness between her and her father. I liked how King Randor just flipped out when he found out his son was dead. There was a lot of things. I like how Orko came into his own, and I like how Cringer was like, I used to be scared all the time, And, cringe. I'm cringing. I'm so scared. I mean,
right.
Dude's name's Cringer. And I like how Battle Cat never talked. He just roared.
Like I said, I think I was more upset with Kevin Smith than the actual show. So I went into it with a little bit of frustration. But big thing is, if you got a Masters Universe show, you got to have He-Man in there. Like I said, it doesn't have to be He-Man centric the whole time. But I think with that storyline that they did, I think if they did on a second season and put that storyline in season 2, I'd have been perfectly okay with it. So,
fair enough. So, how do you feel about the second part coming? You saw Savage He-Man.
You see Savage He-Man. You got Adam a little bit in there. I see right now. So
The sword is just the conduit.
Yeah.
I've always been the spark. Come on.
No, I'm excited. Like I said, everything with this show so far is tempered. So what we'll do is we're gonna have to do it again.
It's like He-Man becoming fucking Mike Tyson. He's gonna bite Skeletor's head off. I'm like, ugh.
If he actually bites Skeletor's ear off, I'll give it a go. So
Word.
all right. So let's see here. Next trailer we have up, Adam.
Yeah.
Is a movie I didn't hear anything about. I just came across this trailer and I'm like, that looks fun.
What's it called again?
Moonfall.
Moonfall. Yeah, this thing looks great.
So it's yeah, definitely one of those that's a thing type of movies where like, oh, okay. But then you see who it's by and you go, oh, it's Roland Emmerich. So I'm like,
That was the guy that did Independence Day too.
He did Independence Day. He did 2012, the whole thing.
Oh man, I never saw that. I had not seen 2012, and I was like, I think going through HBO Max, one of the streaming services. I was like, you know what? I'll watch this. Literally within the last 3 or 4 months, I was like, this sucks. I turned it right off.
Like, no, I'm happy I didn't go see it, but yeah, that's one of those. It's you know what you're getting. It's you really got to put the old real thinking. You got to just turn the brain off for this one.
Yeah, I mean, thinking of 2012 too. For me, it's hard for me to turn off anything with John Cusack in it. Usually, I'm sold on John Cusack, except for Serendipity. But yeah, that movie sucks. But this looks interesting.
Yeah, you're always intrigued by the opposite of what we were talking about later. This is just strictly everything exploding all at once. So it's almost like I am intrigued to see what would happen if the moon attacked the Earth.
Yeah, we talked about showing the Hulk movie to North Korea, but what would happen if the moon attacked?
Exactly. We're freaking out about Russia and North Korea. What about the moon?
Yeah.
Oh boy. So
what do you think you are, the moon or something? You guys?
Yeah. I say if they bring out some Moonanites like they did in Aqua Teen Hunger Force, that might be that might push over the edge for me. But
probably locking, he's all pop locking.
So
wow.
We'll see on that one. But all right, let's get to the goodies here. We're talking about the Book of Boba Fett.
Ooh.
So
I got something to say about it.
Alrighty, so Book of Boba Fett. What did you think? We did your live reaction on Instagram earlier.
I really liked it. I just don't think they told us anything.
Yeah, it's one of those teasers where you go, and I heard some guys on YouTube earlier making jokes that like they're saying really, really normal conversational stuff, and then followed with a I was like, we're here. And
there it is.
This is a nice place.
I think the thing to zero in on with this trailer is the fact that they said Jabba the Hutt ruled with fear and he's going to rule with respect. So what does that mean? That makes me think of Goodfellas. That makes me think of The Godfather. That makes me think of, you don't disrespect me. Oh, you want to disrespect me? Because what makes you think we're not going to kill you? And then you see him chopping somebody to shit?
Yeah, it makes you think because, one, it's Tatooine. So and you know what runs Tatooine?
The mob.
The mob. The Hutts. So obviously there's going to be some they don't show Hutts, but there's bound to be some Hutts at some point because that's just who's run Tatooine for since, we've heard of a galaxy far, far away. The Hutts that have run it. So I'm very intrigued to see who they bring in. So, but they have Mr. Is that let's see here, Timur Morrison, who is the actor who played basically all the clones.
Oh, he's Boba Fett.
He's Boba Fett.
Oh yeah,
So,
okay.
which is correct, but it's also one of those. I always wondered if he got $1 for every clone. That'd be quite the paycheck. But I'm excited. He's done a great job as far as when he was on the Mandalorian. But also this makes me think of, did they are they just kind of moving into the storyline that they originally kind of had set for the Mandalorian here? Where, with the Mandalorian, they talked about doing a Boba Fett movie, and then it kind of went into, well, we're going to make it a TV show, and then the Mandalorian came out.
Well, I think that the success of the Mandalorian show probably showed them that they could do a TV show. And I think there's a lot more. I think there's something to be said about TV versus movies. You can only do so much in a movie. You need $200 million to make this movie, and then you can only have 2.5 hours to say what you want to say. But with a TV show, I mean, you could, virtually have the same budget or a little less and go a little longer. So no, I'm gonna be a purist here with the Mandalorian. I think that their original intention with Mandalorian was to, to show this guy with a heart and to show this little baby Grogu and almost said Goku.
I wish.
So, but I think I think that they deviated definitely from a Boba Fett movie. This is just my opinion. I don't know. But I would think that they deviated from a Boba Fett movie to a Boba Fett show, realizing the success of the Mandalorian TV show, because now they got an Ahsoka show coming. I don't know if you know that.
Oh yeah.
And they're doing Obi-Wan, and I guess Hayden Christensen is going to be in both of those shows, and he's actually going to be in the Vader suit in the Obi-Wan show.
Yeah, I'm tempered by that because I'm hoping it's just not kind of that key jangling thing. We're like, look, we got Hayden back. We're like, okay, are you still going to tell a good story?
Well, yeah.
Are we going to make this work? Or are we going to? Because certain things, you can sit there and put whoever you want into it, but when you sit there that close to canon, are you going to mess with canon just so you can bring Hayden Christensen into a TV show?
Well, see, the Ahsoka ones got me interested because if Ahsoka takes place in the same timeline as The Mandalorian, that's 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and it's prior to The Force Awakens, right? So we're all on the same page there.
Yep.
So if it takes place in that time, he's either going to be in a flashback to like Clone Wars stuff or whatever, or he's going to be a Force ghost. And if he's a Force ghost, that reinforces what we saw at the end of Return of the Jedi, the bullshit versions with the where he was a Force ghost there, instead of Robert Shaw, or
I forget who they had
Shaw,
as the
something Shaw. I think I got it
for Anakin.
Yeah. Anyways, doesn't matter. So he was a Force ghost there, so he'd have to be a Force ghost, and he'd be Anakin because he died good.
Right.
He was turned back to the good side of the Force, so he wouldn't be Vader.
Well, that makes me think he's putting on the suit again, so...
Well, he's putting on the suit again for Obi-Wan.
Right.
Because, Obi-Wan's, dead. Long dead.
Yes, some more.
I don't know if you... there was a Star Wars movie called A New Hope, and
what's there?
It actually shows how Obi-Wan died.
In case anyone you
ever missed that.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan dies.
Yeah, and spoilers here. Spoilers for 2, because Obi-Wan gave spoilers too. He looked Darth Vader in the face and he said, "If you shall strike me down now, I'll become more powerful than you could ever imagine." And he told him the spoilers, and his stupid asshole still did it. And you know what happened?
He died.
He got 2 Death Stars blown up on his ass, and he died.
All right, but I'm pretty
By his own
excited
kid.
by just looking up real quick. So these are the directors for the show so far.
Now I'm afraid.
Robert Rodriguez,
Oh,
Jon Favreau,
oh,
Dave Filoni,
okay.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
I have no fear.
So I think this is because let's face it, they at the end of season 2 of Mandalorian, they really got a whole lot of fans back, and then immediately lost them after they fired Gina Carano. I think this is my last shred of modern Star Wars that I give anything about, or this is my last. It's my last hope, Obi-Wan. You're my last hope.
Let's be reasonable, though. Gina Carano, okay, first of all, her character was amazing. I was very interested in that storyline, just as you were. And she said some things that offended some people, okay? And she was asked not to do that. We all represent the companies that we work for.
Sure.
It was a job. She made a choice. And they said, listen, we don't want to work with you if you're going to bring us that kind of press. And they let her go. In the United States, you're protected under freedom of speech, meaning the government cannot censor you for what you're going to say. But private enterprises and citizens have just as much right to that freedom. And if they want to separate themselves from someone who they feel misrepresented by, I can't say that they're out of line. I don't think that they fired her because they were pandering. I think they fired her because they were afraid to lose dollars.
Typically, I would agree with you if the star of the show had come out and said essentially the same thing, but his politics were on the other side.
So his politics offended less people.
Right.
Well, you know.
So just because you and I can say the exact same thing, but people like you more, so it's okay.
Well, here's the thing with that. These guys the mouse Disney. They don't give a shit.
No,
they don't give a shit about
getting back to our earlier talks.
They don't care about this group, and they don't care about that group. What they care about is how much money they're going to make. And if the star of their show is not upsetting the people that bring in the dollars, but they're upsetting people, that's totally okay. And then if you're upsetting the people who bring in some of the dollars, well, then you got to go. And unfortunately, that's business.
Right. So,
but
anyway, we're moving on.
Is it fair? No. Doesn't mean the Mandalorian sucks, is what I'm saying, man.
True. But there's another trailer that dropped today.
All right.
And Morbius.
Oh, man.
Morbius. I'm excited because a couple reasons. One, it's Morbius.
Yeah.
Two, it's expanding the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And three, I think they're setting up the Sinister Six.
Check. I agree with all of that, and I'm excited for the same reasons. This is a great opportunity to dig into other Spider-Man characters that we don't normally get to see. For those of you who don't know, Michael Morbius, his girlfriend was also Felicia Harding, who was also the Black Cat, and she's a very, very interesting character. She's a rape survivor. Anyways, this isn't about, but I'm just saying, that's one character. There's another character. There's another character we could talk about here.
Well, let's get I say, do you think they're introduced
Blade's cast, but I don't think they're going to introduce him here.
No, I would say for his Black Cat, do you think she gets introduced in this?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
No, I would say, but if they're doing what it looks like they're doing, they're opening up the floodgates of the Spider-Verse.
Oh, yeah.
So because we got Michael Keaton back.
Vulture.
We have
a Vulture.
Jared Harris playing an unknown character, but Jared Harris, whatever he does, I will watch that man read from the telephone book.
I'm not sure I'm familiar with Jared Harris.
Jared Harris is one of those guys. If you see the picture of him, pull up your phone real quick, pull up Jared Harris, be like, oh, that guy. Okay. They also have Tyrese Gibson playing Simon Shroud, FBI agent Simon Shroud. They have Matt Smith playing Loxias Crown.
No relation.
No relation. Who is also, spoilers, a Hunger. So, it looks like they're tying a lot of threads together and also introducing Venom into the verse. They are opening up. Sony is going balls to the wall with the Spider-Verse, Adam.
Okay, Jared Harris. I know who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I don't want to sound like an asshole. Because this movie looks fucking great. But man, Sony's screwed up Spider-Man a million times already. They have, big time. I mean, Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. What?
Why?
Why did you do that? Anyway, okay, back to the trailer. I didn't see this coming. Okay, I saw their teaser trailer like before COVID or whatever it was. I was like, there's some Easter eggs in it. I was like, it wasn't. I was definitely gonna go see it. It had my money. But then this was nuts. The way he looked. I mean, I didn't expect them to do the makeup on him or any of that kind of stuff. It looks badass. I mean, the whole thing looks badass.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's I'm not gonna lie. I originally went, okay, Sony. With Venom, it looked like an early 2000 movie. And as the trailer kept going, I was like, all right, still looks a little bit like that. But as it kept going, I was like, oh, okay, no, all right, they're upgrading. Okay, this is a brand new movie. This is a 2021 movie. This is a 2022 movie.
Yep.
So I was very excited to see that. Like I said, the way the effects, the way that they did, even they showed the transformation in Morbius towards the middle of the trailer. I was just like, oh, okay, no, this is serious. This is a genuine effort. And when you get to Sony has no reason not to do this right, because now you can say with the first Spider-Man movies, there was no blueprint. They were just kind of flying by the seat of their pants. Ever since the MCU showed the blueprint, there's no reason any movie franchise should not be able to succeed.
I agree.
There's the Marvel showed you how to do it. Now everybody can copy the blueprint and say, "Oh,
look what we did."
If we do that, we should have a pretty successful franchise.
Problem is that common sense doesn't seem to float around that damn town.
No,
it doesn't.
That's why J.J. Abrams is on his third or fourth franchise right now.
We could do a show all about that guy. In fact, I gotta thank you, Nick. I gotta thank you. You opened my eyes to J.J. Abrams.
You're welcome. But it's just you sit back and you go, you're on your third franchise in a little over a decade now, and they've all failed under your leadership. How do you keep getting gigs, man? Not just little gigs, big gigs. Oh, you're helming the next Superman movie? What?
I think that's a terrible idea.
Which part?
That he's helming the next Superman movie. Especially if it's not a Henry Cavill Superman.
Henry Cavill should be Superman till that man can't. Till he dies.
Right.
They should be like Christopher Reeves and just keep bringing him back.
The fact that there's not a Man of Steel 2 out there is stupid.
That'll get into another movie where people just like to hate it or like to bag on it. Look, I get the DCEU, the Snyderverse was a darker tone. Got it. But to say that they weren't quality, good comic book movies, I think you're wrong.
Oh my God, you're totally right. And I will say this: the theatrical cut of Batman v Superman is a letdown, and I'll tell you why. Because The studio got gun shy. They wouldn't let him put the movie out that he wanted to put out. When I saw the Ultimate Edition, it was 30 minutes more or 20 minutes more, whatever they added, and I'm like, oh, now that makes sense. Oh, now that makes sense. Like there was all these little like holes they plugged in the plot. You know, Lex Luthor is an awesome character on paper. I don't think he was performed very well, but all of his writing was fine. The fact that how he manipulated Clark and Bruce against each other. You had the KG Beast killing people and having people killed in the prison who were branded with the bat. They don't tell you that in the theatrical cut.
Right.
That's dumb. They don't tell you that the damn bomb was lead lined. Superman couldn't see it. No, he was just having an emotional day that day. I'm afraid I wasn't looking for it, Lois. No, dumbass, you couldn't see it. So, anyways, but that's Warner Brothers, and everything I just said is relevant. That's Sony too. That is Sony as well. They got look up your Spider-Man movies, and there's Avi Arad. I don't even know what the guy looks like. He's on every movie, and he gets a lot of shit from people who know what they're talking about. Nobody like famous, but there's too many cooks there was way too many cooks in the kitchen with Amazing Spider-Man 2. Way too many. They tried to do the Sinister Six then.
Well, and what still scares me, and should scare everybody, it's still the same studio that put out the latest iteration of the Fantastic Four. That should terrify everybody, because at that point, like I said, the blueprint's there.
Did you see that movie?
I tried.
I have not seen the last 25 or 30 minutes.
Every time I either fall asleep or it just doesn't keep my attention, where I go, I'd rather go do dishes or something, or let's go walk the dog. I tried to watch it because it's one of those, like I said, I can sit there and watch a terrible movie and still pull good things out of it.
Yeah.
I could not. That was borderline unwatchable.
I was watching that movie and I was like invested in what was going on, and I found myself getting excited. And then I realized I'd been watching it for like an hour. I was like, oh, we're not going anywhere, are we?
The most interesting part of that movie is the behind the scenes story with the director.
I thought I could pull something good from the story. I liked Reed as a kid with Ben. That was cool.
Yeah.
And then how they grew up together and they went to the same college, all that kind of stuff. Their relationship was cool. They had chemistry. They were good.
Yeah, that's one of those. Once again, there are elements you could see what they were going for, and then it falls apart so bad.
And Josh Trank, he said the studio sabotaged this movie. So,
well, there were things where people were saying that he was in his trailer crying or having emotional breakdowns, like on the set. It's like, oh Lord,
right?
So, but Chronicle's a good movie.
Chronicle's great. I'm an apex predator.
All right. So that's it for trailers.
Go see Morbius.
Go see Morbius. Morbius comes out not too long, January 28th. So January.
It's like, thank you, Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool. For real, because that's I wholeheartedly believe by releasing Deadpool during those times, those months, the shit movie months, like it opened up the door for good movies to be put out.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it became like studios said, oh well, movies don't perform. It's like, if you put out crap movies,
right? That's like where movies were going to die.
Well, that's like I remember when they released the 300. And it just broke all these records for, I forget exactly when it was released. Then they're like, oh, it broke records for this month and for this, this is the time where movies go down. I was like, no, it's a badass movie. That's why people came out and saw it.
Yeah.
So here's hey, Hollywood, if you put out good movies, the people will come. If you put out good stories, the people will come.
Sometimes twice.
Shocker. I'm going to go see Dune again. What?
Did you get it?
Yeah.
That's bad.
I got it. All right, Adam.
All right. I'm going to see Dune again, too.
Adam, we're
Yeah.
introducing a new segment on the show.
Oh man, you didn't prep me for this. What's going on?
We got toys. No, 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 Batmobile.
That's right.
Batmobile. The Batcave. Batcave. Adam,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to do something that, as a nerd, it hurts my core to do.
Okay, before you do this, before you announce this, let me give a little backstory about this podcast.
Take it away.
Okay, so Nick and I met in 1995. Okay, Nick was a new kid at the high school that we went to. We were both freshmen. I'd only been living there 3 years, so whatever. We hit it off right away. We liked comics. We were inseparable for like the next 4 years through high school, and then we kind of went our own way. And we both went. Life happens. We both went to broadcast school, and now we're back, and we are doing this podcast because it's something we both love. What a coincidence, right? Okay, so you have all that. There's the cliff notes. When Nick and I were in high school, not only did we collect comics, we collected action figures, and it was taboo in the 90s to open your action figures if you weren't a child. If you weren't a child, you kept them in the package because someday they either might make you rich or... Well, go ahead.
Well, and in fairness, at the time, they were worth money.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Star Wars, when they kind of re-released the Star Wars with the red card and all that, those were worth some money.
I'm sure they are still today.
No.
No?
They're worth about what you paid for them back in the 90s.
I love the future.
Ugh.
Now I can go collect them all.
Anyway, go on.
Okay, so
I got a haunting carbonate around here somewhere.
in 2008, when he and I were we didn't know each other again at that point, I had a friend or someone close to the family say, you better get a lock on that shed or all your stuff's gonna get stolen. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And I just never got a lock on the shed. And then all my stuff got stolen. And it was all these action figures and all this kind of stuff that I had still in the package. So after that, once I got back into action figures, after I got over losing all that stuff, I was like, screw it. I'm going to start opening them up. So this is circa 2008, 2009. So I've been opening up my action figures for like 13 years, putting them on display, addicted like crazy, growing and growing. And Nick is just now starting to open it up. And I'll tell you, when I took those steps into opening them up, I wasn't sure if I was doing the right thing.
My heart's racing right now.
Yeah, he's got the adrenaline pumping. What are we opening today, Nick?
We got the classic TV series Batmobile from McFarlane.
Yeah.
You want to open one?
Do I want to? No, you open them.
No, well, this doesn't take too long. So I also have some DC multiverse guys here. I have Bloodsport with the Build-A-Figure King Shark. And Peacemaker, also Build-A-Figure. So, which one you want?
I'll take Peacemaker.
There you go. One for you, one for me.
Did you know that the car that was used to custom the Batmobile, George Barris designed it. It was a Lincoln.
I did. It's so my job, my 9 to 5, I drive around a lot. I drive for a living.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it was a like 60% custom Batmobile. Like you could see like the frame of it and how they were putting it together with like plywood. And I'm just like, oh, if I had the money.
You could get one for like $200,000. Is
that all?
Well, I mean, George Barris bought the Lincoln Futura for $1.
And didn't he? Because he also did. Didn't he also do the Green Hornet as well?
And the Monster Mobile.
Oh, that's all.
And I think he had a hand. He had a hand in the General Lee.
Okay.
All right. So I have just used a very dull fingernail here to cut the little pieces of tape here, and where we got Peacemaker here, John Cena, and we're gonna pull him. We're gonna pull him out by the blue stock here.
All right, so here we go.
Eh.
My favorite Batmobile of all time, of all the Batmobiles, is the TV show Batmobile. Don't ask why. It just is.
Who the fuck has to ask why? That thing's beautiful.
It is absolutely classic styling. It is the beautiful that 60s Detroit muscle era. And yeah, this is I'm trying to get some more shelving in here, so I'm gonna get a nice like glass display and pretty much build my own small Batcave. So I did not get.
Sorry for the noise.
I did not get the figures pre-ordered in time, so I'm gonna have to get those off the second market. But I know you got those.
What's that? The Harley Quinn and
or no, the 66 figures.
I got the Mattel figures.
Okay.
I don't have the McFarlane figures.
How are those?
Awesome. I saw a review on both the Mattel and the McFarlane figures, and the McFarlane ones are retro, so they're the 6-inch scale. They're not the 7-inch that the DC Multiverse is. So if I bought those two, it would kind of wouldn't matter. You know what I mean? So I have got the regular Batman. I have got a Batman with an interchangeable head, with an Adam West head, and with another Batman head. So you could technically have two Batmans. One, you know, and then I've got the Batman in the surfer trunks with the surfboard. I mean, I got the whole line, really. I got the Batgirl and I got Robin. And what's nice about it is that when McFarlane released the Batcave that you are opening right now, I mean, talk about a damn dream come true, man. You know what you got to buy now? There's a Batcave set, just that comes with like the Shakespeare bust.
That was what I was say. That's the thing I need.
I have it.
Oh, I need that.
If you look at the picture I sent you of my Batcave, I've got the Bat computer in there from that set.
That's what I need, and I need a life-size one.
Yes,
I need.
I need to. Yes. All right, folks, we got the Peacemaker right here. If having peace meant eating every dick on this beach, I would eat every dick on this beach. Fuck yeah! Why kill me? You have the thing because I'm thorough. Wait a minute. Wait. Because I'm thorough. Damn straight.
All right, so man, there's a lot to. For some odd reason, in the pictures, I thought it would be smaller. It is not. As I throw handrails all over the place. So this thing's pretty massive.
Yeah, you gotta be careful too, because it's like, you know, those things that like have like there's a toy inside a toy inside a toy inside a toy.
Yeah, there's lots of bags here.
Yeah, well, like the consoles are like that in there. So yeah, I dropped a bunch of shit on the floor when I was.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get this picked up before I let the dogs back in. But this is legit like an entire diorama in a box. All right, so I got all that together and keep all that together. I'm gonna open up my buddy Bloodsport real quick.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows or does this on the internet, can find or make the guns that Bloodsport uses in the Suicide Squad, hit me up because I will buy them from you.
You were a fan of that movie, weren't you?
I thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, me too.
It was better than Suicide Squad. But I'm still in the realm of I'd love to see the quote unquote error cut. So
yeah.
Hashtag release the error cut.
I heard the error cut though has a lot more Joker.
I don't mind that as long as it's done well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it either. I don't mind it either. I fall into the category of Jared Leto's Joker like this, okay? Great on paper, just like Lex Luthor, but I just didn't like the execution too much. I mean, I didn't hate it.
No, but look, dude, there's one thing about being method actor, and then there's sending rats to people. Like, come on, bro.
and used condoms.
Yeah. I mean, they're just like, if you think that's what the Joker would do, no, that's just what an a-hole does. Don't do that.
That's not what the Joker would do. He would send fucking poison gas.
Well, that's what I say. Yeah, he'd send you a bomb. Not as a, jokey, here's a fetal pig or whatever.
The thing about the Joker is that he does every single one of his acts, his crimes, his murders, they're all jokes. They're just very unfair jokes.
Right.
You know?
All right. So one of the big things about McFarlane toys, it's the detail. Now, Adam, I've heard certain toy collectors say that they think the quality's gone down recently with McFarlane toys. What do you think about that?
No, and in some cases a little bit.
Okay.
So I mean, okay, so I have him on pre-order right now. It's the Rebirth Superman, and yeah, every toy company reuses molds, right? Oh shit, I'm just holding Bloodsport right in front of the camera while I'm talking. Every blah 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 blah. But what they did is, if you look at Superman's boots, and we'll pull a graphic up for this. But if you look at his boots in the Rebirth, they come to a point, and they reuse the Bizarro mold, which is fine. I think it's a great mold to use for his body. But they didn't resculpt the legs, and they painted the points on. So the points, he's got a molded boot,
right,
and then he's got red points that come up his shin. It's pointed. The points are not even on the boot, but they're supposed to represent the boot.
Right.
Right there, that's about the only gripe I have when I saw that. And it's still, though, an awesome figure. I just picked up the Todd McFarlane signature design Wonder Woman. They had a bunch of them at Walmart, which was a funny story. No, I think that, okay, so I learned a little trick through all these action figure review things that I've been watching. So I'm a longtime action figure collector, but I'm not much of I'm just learning. Like, I'm becoming more than a novice at like how to do customs. You know, like I'm still like novice at customs, but I'm getting a little better at stuff.
Well, just like, so real quick. So just looking at the Bloodsport, you know, like just the head and like the orange parts it just needs that little bit of a wash to add the details, to bring the details out. So that's like, because that's what I did, because my son and I, we got into Warhammer 40K for a little bit, so we got into like painting the figures and all that. So just like, as soon as I saw the guy, I was like, you know, look really badass on this figure. Just a little wash just to bring those details out. So,
well, if you look at this sword here, you got a pretty, okay, so you got like a bent sword, right? And I got a couple bent swords too out of the deal. But you can fix that. I've learned that you can fix that. So with customing, if I'm not good at being a customizer, I have at least learned how to repair or fix things like that. And it's boiling water. I
would say probably just heat.
You get some boiling water, it loosens up the plastic, and then you set it, you know, and it'll dry that way. So you want to take, you know, if you want to take apart like okay, so you got maybe like, he's brand new, so his leg is moving, but maybe he's been in the package for a long time and his joints are stiff. You put him in some boiling water, you loosen up that plastic, and then you can loosen up that joint. You know, so, and it works. It really does.
Okay, so let's say you got a little stand for him, but you want to stay with any tricks for that.
What do you mean?
So you want him in a certain pose, and you don't want him to move.
I got one I thought of on my own. As a matter of fact, I one of the things that I do is I work in geometric tolerances and dimensions. geometric dimensions and tolerances, and we use something called a CMM machine. Now, I'm not an expert, but I fare pretty well. But when you're talking about poses, we have to lay out a part or something like that to like get all its dimensions. We have to like set it up on blocks so that it's in space, and then teach the machine where it is. And one of the ways to keep the blocks steady is hot glue. And I looked at that, I'm like, hot glue? It's not permanent. It doesn't bond to the action figure. It does, and it only bonds to like a wood surface. So here's the thing with the wood surface: you go to Walmart, or you go to Kmart, Walmart or Meijer or whatever it is, and you buy for $20. You buy a stack of tiles, just the plastic kitchen tile stuff, the sticky stuff, and put that onto your shelf. Lay your shelf down like that, and you can hot glue your figures into a pose. And when you want to change them, you just kind of take a little scraper, pop them off, pull the glue off, and you're good.
Or even probably a heat gun probably loosens them.
Yeah, hot knife, something like that. But every picture I've sent you of the action figure displays that I have up, all those pictures that I've sent you, those are all hot glued down.
Like
Hey.
what to fix a bent gun?
Hey, how the fuck did you get a gun? Oh, that's not Bloodsport.
It's not Bloodsport. This leads into
Like mine came with swords.
this leads into our last topic of the day. And Adam, we're gonna finish it up with what we're reading, what we're watching. And I said once I got it in the mail, that's fine, I'd open them. And I got my Gunslinger Spawn. And I got my Gunslinger Spawn #1. I read it. It's a go out and find it. It's great. Adam, we were talking a couple weeks ago about, man, comics have gone up in price so much.
Yeah.
And one of the nice things about at least the McFarlane series, because I know they're what, $5.99 a piece.
Jeez.
But here's the thing.
Oof.
There's 4 stories in there.
Yeah.
And 0 ads.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's bang for your buck.
And
when you handed it to me, it was thick, man.
I say the King Spawn was like that as well. Gunslinger Spawn, just find it. Once again, if you're new to the podcast, I'm just getting back into comics after basically a couple decades off, so I'm just getting back into it. But man, really cool character, and if you know anything about Spawn, he's one of the weaker Hell Spawns.
Al Simmons?
No, the Gunslinger.
Oh, okay.
And so he knows this. So he's figuring out ways to basically he's
got to use the brains.
He's come to grips. He's like, how do I survive? So what he actually does is when he comes up against an angel, he takes some of his own blood and puts on the tips of his bullets. And he calls it enhancing his bullets so that he can fight fire, so he can hang with the angels that are coming after him. So, and it's really cool. It's just diving back into the comics, and he's a guy. He's from the Civil War era, and it jumps back and forth between a modern story, and plus you get a couple older stories and some things that kind of go a little bit into his origin. So, don't know his name yet. He's just known as the Gunslinger. So.
Can I bookend this with something we started talking about at the top of the show?
Adam, it's our show. We can do whatever we want.
Okay. So, if you're worried about inclusion and you're worried about appeasing the masses and you're worried about making change in a world that's not even real, I'm talking about the fiction world, then by all means, read Iron Fist. But if you want to read a good story with a brand new character from the Old West who's a gunslinger and a Spawn and weaker, I challenge you to read what Nick just described, what Nick just told you about Gunslinger Spawn. I put it to you, Nick. Am I right or am I wrong?
It's great because it even plays on a little bit of the man out of his time, kind of like Captain America does, where he's riding a motorcycle at the very beginning, and stops working, and he finds this poor kid. He's like, "Fix my motorcycle." He's like, "The hell are you?" And, but he's intimidated because this is asking him, telling him to fix his motorcycle. So he's like, "Okay." He's like, "Dude, you're out of gas." It's like, "The hell's gas?" So it's just one of the a little bit corny, but also just playing on the man out of time. So.
It sounds like the writers are more worried about story. I hate when they do that.
Oh, God forbid they actually care about what a character's going through and not what's between his legs.
Yeah, or the color of his skin. Anyways, I'm just saying.
I don't know what color is this. Is it black? Is it blue? There's some white in there.
Hamburger head.
Hamburger face. Look at this hat. Look at this hat.
Dope. Wait, is he? So he's from the West, though, right?
Yeah, he's.
What? I gotta see. I don't have my glasses on. Oh hell, dude. Okay, so let me ask you this question: Do you think they're going down in quality? I don't think they're going down in quality.
No, well, here's the thing. Todd's not going to let anything with Spawn in the title not have quality to it.
Well,
because if you know anything about Todd McFarlane, Spawn is his baby.
Well, yeah, I know. I understand that. I'm just saying, I think some people are being a little harsh on some of those other things. Now that the situation with the boots I told you about, that's messed up.
Sure.
I hope that, not complaining, because I love my Harley Quinn action figure from the Suicide Squad. This line of Suicide Squad. I was surprised that they did the Harley in the dress and not the Harley in the the leather Arkham suit that she was in the beginning of the movie. Remember that?
Yeah,
I thought that looked a little more superhero-y.
Well, and I think, did they do that more? I think they did that version. Did they do that in the Arkham Asylum line? Did they do Harley Quinn?
No, they just did Joker and Batman.
Yeah, I have they done a Harley Quinn, Todd McFarlane in the Harley Quinn outfit,
like
in her original,
an animated version.
Yeah, but not like a
almost
like a Margot Robbie type.
No, they didn't. I would like. So for Harley Quinn figures, I'd like to see from McFarlane. I'd like to see the original Suicide Squad movie version.
Mm-hmm.
I love that figure. I don't think we have a good figure of that without paying $1,000.
Right.
And I'd like to see the one from the beginning of the Suicide Squad. Now, the first wave of McFarlane toys for DC Multiverse was supposed to have the Birds of Prey Harley Quinn, and it never came out. But it's coming out this year. I got it on pre-order, and you will see it on this show. Ships in November.
Has McFarlane ever done just a Hawkman, a standard Hawkman, not like a multiverse Hawkman?
No.
I need that.
So do I.
I need that from McFarlane. Todd.
Fucking mesmerized here.
Get on it.
Yeah.
I mean, all due respect, Todd, I love you. But Todd, I need a Hawkman figure. I need a nice, badass Hawkman with his mace getting ready to bash someone in the face. Please do that for us.
Yeah.
And other people.
Wow. What a good idea.
But I need that. There's few characters I have more nostalgia for than Hawkman. Hawkman is just one of those guys where I remember playing with the 3.5 inch or Superpower Hawkman. That was one of my favorite toys as a kid. I was never the biggest Hawkman fan, but man, that toy,
no shit,
that just brings back memories. And I remember the Superman where you squeeze his legs and it moves his arm. I was like, stuff like, now Todd, I don't need that. But Todd,
don't
I need me a Hawkman, a nice badass Hawkman.
Yes, we need that. Okay, we're not done with this show.
Okay.
What other figures do we need here? I know I could think of some real quick. Man, you blew my fucking head off with that one. We need some world build. That's the thing is we got a lot of Batman stuff. I love Batman. Don't get me wrong. We got I just said that I want more Harley Quinn. Blah blah blah. But we do need world building stuff like we got 2 Green Lanterns. We don't need another one right now. Even though I'd like to see Jessica Cruz, that would be cool. The Reverse Flash is coming. I got that on pre-order. Swamp Thing. They just did Swamp Thing.
Yeah,
That's coming too.
because that's got a variant. That's got, I think, the GameStop variant where it's got the horns.
Yeah, I don't have the horns one. I got the regular one. I'm glad I didn't get the horns one though. I don't want the horns one. But
I want the horns.
That's good. That's good. Come on, man, help me out here.
So are we sticking with DC right now?
Yeah, we're sticking. Well, yeah,
Oh,
DC Multiverse. Because
DC Multiverse. So,
I mean, who can you think of?
did they ever do from Flashpoint? Did they do Bruce Wayne's mom as the Joker?
You heard it here first, folks.
Because we need that. Because I love the Flashpoint. I love the alternate universe stuff. That's one of those storylines that I just love. Oh, I need an updated Superman Red Sun, but with like the high collar and like the end Red Sun. I love the Red Sun, that whole storyline, but I need the and I'm about to say, go ahead.
I got one. You go first.
I need the Red Sun Batman. I need the Russian Batman.
Word. Yeah.
And I know there's a version out there, but Todd, if you're gonna do a Red Sun Superman, I need a Red Sun Batman. And I'll throw in
the Wonder Woman too.
Wonder Woman too.
You need the Trinity.
Yeah.
Booster Gold, baby. We need Booster Gold
for the movie that might be coming out.
Yeah, sweet, dude. That'd be sweet. Oh man, James Gunn, if he does a Booster Gold movie, I told you this, man. I got a cat named Rocket and a cat named Booster Gold. Dude, that'd be wicked.
So, all right. So I think it's time to wrap it up, Adam.
I had something to say.
Then say it.
I can't remember now. I lost my train of thought.
Well, we'll have to save it for next time. But so we appreciate you guys stopping on by. Remember, we are on social media. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram, and we are also obviously on YouTube.
What's our handle at Nick and Adam Show?
We are the Nick and Adam Show.
At the Nick and Adam Show on Instagram.
At the Nick and Adam Show on Instagram and on Facebook. We have our page there. So, and also, we are your source for news, movies, toys, anything nerd related. We'll talk about. If you guys want to talk about it, we'll talk about it. So
yeah, comment in the section below and let us know what you want us to talk about. We'll talk about that because we always want to know what you're thinking. And we can't do this. This doesn't happen without you. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for letting us be a part of your day. And man, be good out there. Be nice to yourself.
Thanks for stopping, guys. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Take care.